Kings wanted her for a throne. An emperor wanted her for an heir. A dying world of elves wanted her blood to save itself from the end. For one girl, the most powerful forces on the continent bent and schemed and reached as if destiny itself had folded around a single life. Her name was Ciri, and everyone who reached for her wanted the same thing, to make her into something. A queen, a weapon, a bloodline, a key. Not one of them asked what she wanted to be. That was their mistake. Because the most fated person in the whole of this story, the girl the entire world tried to claim, would, in the end, refuse every destiny laid upon her and choose her own. In this final episode, we follow the girl beneath the prophecy to the moment she walked into the cold alone and the choice that finally set her free. To understand why a whole world hunted one child, you have to understand what ran in her veins. The elder blood. A power older than the magic of this world, older than the cataclysm that first tore the spheres together and spilled monsters and men into the same dark. It came down to Ciri from an elven woman called LoreTold, the root of a bloodline that carried something no spell could ever grant. The power to walk between worlds, to step out of one and into another, to cross not just distance, but the walls between realities themselves. But power like that is never free. Every time Ciri used it, every time fear sent her fleeing from one world to the next, she tore a door open behind her. And a door, once torn, can be followed. Each leap she made lit a path straight back to her. The more she ran, the easier she was to find. So the dying king of the wild hunt could chase her across the dark because she herself kept opening the way. She was the prey, and she was the door the hunters came through. That was why they all wanted her. Eredin, to drag his freezing world through the gate her blood could open. An emperor, to set that bloodline on a throne. The cold prophecy of the white frost, to spend her against the end of everything. To every one of them, she was not a girl. She was a means. But not everyone who looked at Ciri saw a means to an end. Two of them saw a child. A witcher who was never meant to have a daughter. A man built to feel little, bound to her years earlier by an old custom, the law of surprise, who came to love her without ever planning to, and a sorceress who had given up the chance of a child of her own body and chose this one with her whole heart, Geralt and Yennefer. The two who could never make a family the ordinary way, and made one anyway, around a girl the rest of the world only wanted to use. But they all made the same mistake. Her fate did not turn on her power. It turned on whether the people around her treated her as a person or as a piece on a board. Every voice that told her what she must become pushed her a step closer to breaking. The ones who let her simply be, who asked nothing of her blood, gave her the one thing no destiny could, the strength to stay herself. For a while, she had it. A home in the old keep. A family that wanted nothing from her but her. And then the hunt closed around it. The reckoning came at Kaer Morhen, the old fortress where witches were once made, the place where this whole road began. The hunt rode down on it in force, and the family that had gathered to shield Ciri stood to meet them. And in that battle, the oldest wolf of them all gave the last thing he had. Vesemir, the man who had trained generation after generation of witches, who had held that keep through every long winter, died buying Ciri the seconds she needed to live. Something broke in her then. Grief tore the lid off the power she had spent her whole life holding down, and it came out of her in a wave that flung the riders of the dead aside like ash. The girl they had hunted across worlds became, for one terrible moment, the most dangerous thing on the field. The hunt would not survive what followed. Its generals fell one by one, and the king who had worn the mask of the dead, Eredin himself, fell at last to Geralt's blade. The most feared power on the continent, broken, but the true enemy had never only been the hunt. Behind it came the white frost, the slow death of all worlds, the very end Eredin had been trying to outrun by stealing hers. And holding it back asked for something no army could give. It asked for Ciri to walk into the cold, alone. She went. The most fated girl in the world stepped through the last door, into the white, to hold back the end of everything. And for a long, silent moment, no one she left behind knew if she would ever come back. She came back. She held back the white frost, saved every world that had tried to use her, and even the one that had hunted her. And she survived it, where every prophecy had whispered she would not. She survived because the people who loved her had given her something to come home to. The girl who was meant to be a sacrifice came home instead, and then the last hand reached for her. Her father by blood, an emperor, waited to set her on a throne, to make her his heir, to turn her at last into the thing of value the world had always wanted her to be. Geralt did not let it happen. He stood before the most powerful man on the continent and lied, told him the girl was gone, beyond anyone's reach. And with that lie, he cut the final string. No crown, no bloodline duty, no fate owed to anyone, only a choice, hers. And Ciri, who could have been a queen, an empress, a weapon, a savior, chose the path. She took up the silver sword. She became a witcher, not because her blood demanded it, not because fate decreed it, but because it was what she wanted. Geralt had been made a witcher as a boy, put through the trials with no say in any of it, his body remade before he was old enough to refuse. Ciri came to the path the other way around. No one forced it upon her. No crown chose it, no bloodline, no prophecy. She did. Whatever the long road ahead might one day ask of her, she would walk it because it was hers to walk, not because anyone had decided her shape for her. That was the difference. Geralt's destiny had been chosen for him. Ciri claimed hers for herself. Geralt set in her hand a sword named Ziriel. Swallow. And let her go. He and Yennefer turned together and walked away from all of it, the invented family, finally free. And so the saga of the White Wolf closes on the thing it was always secretly about. Refusal. Think back across the whole of this road. A witcher built to be neutral, who chose a side. A sorceress told to accept the wound her power had cost her, who fought that wound to her last breath. And a girl the entire world tried to make its own. A queen, a weapon, a key, who in the end belonged to no one but herself. 3 people, each of them shaped, bought, or rewritten by forces far larger than they were. And each of them, when it mattered most, refused to be only what they had been made to be. That is the quiet truth beneath all the monsters and the magic and the riders in the dark. In a world that wants to turn every life into a means to someone else's end, the rarest power is not the sword, or the spell, or the blood in your veins. It is the power to say no, to look at the destiny laid out for you, and choose your own instead. Stories like this one end. The White Wolf hangs up his swords. The witch and the witcher vanish down a quiet road, and the girl walks her own path into a world that no longer owns her. But what they refused to become, that part doesn't end. That part becomes the legend, and legends endure. Stories end, Legends endure. Subscribe and walk the path with us.